Do you know which presidential administration under which the PIN was first created?
I can tell you what administration that the weaponization was ended under.
I'll reclaim my time. This wasn't a trick question.
You don't get to
Madam Attorney
reclaim
General.
your time.
Madam Attorney General.
Because I don't like
Mr. Chairman, will you explain to the witness that he does reclaim his time?
Because I don't answer a question to your satisfaction?
Mr. Chairman.
Madam Attorney General, the time belongs to the gentleman from...
Let that sink in for a moment. The Attorney General of the United States just confirmed on camera, under oath, in front of the House Judiciary Committee, that the Department of Justice employs a man who was caught on video yelling "kill him" at police officers during the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol. His name is Jared Wisey. He was indicted by a federal grand jury for 2 felonies and 4 misdemeanors. One of those charges was for forcibly assaulting, resisting, and interfering with law enforcement. And Pam Bondi's only defense for hiring him was that President Trump pardoned him. Think about what that means. A presidential pardon does not erase what happened. It does not change what is on that video. It does not change the fact that the chief law enforcement officer of the United States looked at a man caught on camera urging the murder of police and decided he was qualified to work at the nation's top law enforcement agency. 6 days before this hearing, Bondi posted publicly that if anyone comes for law enforcement, the Trump administration will come for them. That statement is now sitting next to a confirmation that she hired a man who told police officers to their faces, "You are disgusting, you are Nazis, kill him." That is not protecting law enforcement, that is protecting loyalty to the president, and those are not the same thing. But the Wise hiring is only the first piece of evidence, because what this hearing revealed goes much deeper than one bad hire.
Attorney General Bondi, 6 days ago, you posted online, quote, "If you come for law enforcement, the Trump administration will come for you," end quote. I want to show you just a brief video. It's about 30 seconds, and I'll ask you a couple questions about it.
You guys are disgusting, man. Hey, you guys are disgusting. I'm former law enforcement. You're disgusting. You are the Nazi. You are the Gestapo. You can't see it because you're chasing your pension, right? Your pension, your retirement, right? That's what runs your life, your retirement.
The sad thing is they're not even going to get their pension because it's going to be worthless.
And shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Yeah. Fuck that. Yeah.
Attorney General Bondi, that man works for you now, right?
Who was that, Congressman?
The man in that video, the one who was in the police-worn body cam footage, the one allegedly yelling "kill him" at police officers on January 6th, his name is Jared Wise.
He does work for us.
He works for you at the Department of Justice.
The Public Integrity Section, known as PIN, exists for one reason: to investigate corruption inside the federal government. It was created after Watergate specifically because America learned the hard way what happens when there is nobody watching the people in power. When Pam Bondi took office, that unit had 35 employees. Today it has 2. She reduced the office responsible for prosecuting corrupt politicians by over 90%. And when asked to explain why, she told Congress she was ending weaponization. That answer needs to be examined directly. Ending weaponization does not require gutting the only office designed to catch corrupt government officials. If anything, a department serious about ending weaponization would strengthen that office, not hollow it out until 2 people are left standing. The timing matters too. This reduction happened while the administration was making decisions that a fully staffed public integrity section would have the authority and the obligation to investigate. You do not accidentally reduce your corruption watchdog by 90%. That is a policy decision. And the effect of that decision is that the people in power now have significantly less to worry about from the people whose job it is to hold them accountable.
He does.
This is an individual whom a federal grand jury indicted for 2 felonies and 4 misdemeanors related to his participation in the attack on January 6th. One of those charges was forcibly assaulting, resisting, opposing, impeding, intimidating, and interfering with police with the intent to commit another felony. This is who you choose as the chief law enforcement officer of the United States of America to hire at the Department of Justice. Someone on video yelling "kill him" at police officers, right?
I believe he was pardoned by President Trump.
Oh, he was pardoned. You're right. You're right. Pardoned by President Trump for his offense. Pardoned for yelling "kill him" at police officers. And yet you expect hardworking police officers across the country to believe that you take law enforcement seriously. You could imagine the reaction of so many folks across the country hearing the chief law enforcement officer of the United States refuse to even condemn what that individual whom you've now hired did. But in any event, let's talk a little bit about some of the other divisions within the Department of Justice and what's happened over the last year. You're familiar with the Public Integrity section of the DOJ's criminal division. I think it's referred to as PIN. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
She would not answer because the answer is zero. Bondi eliminated the entire National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team. The unit responsible for investigating complex financial crimes involving digital assets no longer exists. And the reason she could not say that out loud in front of Congress is the number sitting right next to it. $1.4 billion. That is the reported amount Donald Trump made through his own cryptocurrency holdings over the last year. Let that sequence land. The President of the United States is making $1.4 billion in cryptocurrency. And the Attorney General he appointed eliminated the entire law enforcement team responsible for investigating cryptocurrency crimes. She did not reduce it. She did not restructure it. She ended it completely. That is not a coincidence. That is a conflict of interest, so direct and so documented that it is now sitting permanently in the congressional record.
Colorado.
The president under which PIN was created was Gerald Ford. It was created after Watergate. I'm not asking a question, Madam Attorney General. The administration under which it was created was Gerald Ford. When you first started as the Attorney General of the United States, there were 35 people working in that office. There are now 2 people working in that office because you have gutted it. How many people work for the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team in the criminal division today?
Can I answer the question about PIN?
I've asked you a question. How many
You've
people
asked
work?
me a question, but you don't
How
want
many
the answer.
people work
I'm not
for the
gonna answer your
National
questions the way you
Cryptocurrency
want.
Enforcement Team? You won't answer how many
I'll
people?
answer PIN.
You.
PIN will not be
you know what?
weaponized.
You know what?
What's
Madam
funny
Attorney
about
General,
this?
I'll say to the chairman.
What's funny about
Mr. Chairman,
this?
you know what the answer is? And I think I
What's
understand
funny
why the
about
Attorney General
this?
does not want to answer the question. Because you eliminated the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team last year.
This is the one that crosses a constitutional line. Representative Pramila Jayapal exercised her legal right as a member of Congress to review the Epstein files at the Department of Justice. 23 hours later, Pam Bondi walked into a congressional hearing carrying a document inside her binder titled Jayapal Premier Search History, a detailed record of exactly which files Jayapal had searched for and reviewed. The Department of Justice was secretly tracking which documents a sitting member of Congress was looking at and compiling that information into a partisan attack file for a hearing. This is not a minor procedural issue. The speech or debate clause of the United States Constitution exists specifically to protect members of Congress from exactly this kind of executive branch surveillance. Courts have been explicit. Tracking what Congress is looking at provides clues to what Congress is doing, and that kind of surveillance is a violation of the separation of powers. Bondi claimed her department was ending weaponization, but she walked into that hearing room carrying the private search history of a congresswoman who dared to look at the Epstein files. That is the definition of weaponization, written in her own binder, sitting on the witness table. The House Judiciary Committee has now given Bondi a deadline of February 20th, 2026, to provide a full list of every member of Congress whose searches were tracked. They are demanding to know the purpose of this surveillance and how many staff were assigned to monitor lawmakers. If she fails to comply, subpoenas follow. Here is what the full picture looks like. A January 6th attacker hired at the Department of Justice. The corruption watchdog gutted from 35 people to 2. The cryptocurrency enforcement team eliminated while the president makes $1.4 billion in crypto, and a congresswoman's private search history compiled into a political attack file within 23 hours. This is not a Department of Justice. This is a protection operation for one man, and the evidence is no longer a theory. It is sitting in the congressional record, on video, under oath,